make sure your phones are on silent.
Yeah, my phone's on airplane.
That's probably a good idea, actually. I'm just making sure it's not.
Holy hell.
Oh, sorry.
Good thing I don't have a phone with me. Because it would go off now.
That's why I just. Ooh, that's why I just turned it on silent.
I don't have my clothes on.
Egunon, muy buenos días.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Let's commence the press conference, which corresponds to the British production, Lady Macbeth film, which is projected within the official section of the festival. I hope you can all hear me. We have with us, we have at the press conference, we have the director of the film, William Oldroyd, the actors, Cosmo Jarvis, Naomi Akey, and Florence Pugh, and Fola Cronin O'Reilly, who is the producer. I hope I pronounced those surnames correctly. So first questions, please. Hi, good morning. I'd like to ask the director, there are a couple of scenes that are very, not perfect symmetry, but almost symmetrical. That is basically all of those in which the sofa and the couch and the leading actress on the couch, sitting on the couch. But I would like to ask you, how did you plan those types of scenes? And sometimes it seems it's as if they were painted. It seemed like paintings, if you catch what I'm saying.
Thank you. Well, it's worth saying that we worked very carefully on the logic of the camera work because we felt that we wanted the camera to represent entrapment and isolation. So this is why we kept a very sort of formal frame and kept it locked off. And then we were really investigating when the camera might move, at what point, if we wanted to go into handheld. And we thought it would be most useful if it was to represent the inner life of Catherine, the main character. So when she starts to wake up, then we decided to move the camera with her. So the camera is absolutely connected to her point of view. And in terms of the framing and the formal composition, I worked very closely with Jacqueline Abrahams, the production designer, and Ari Wegner, the cinematographer, to look at the work of Willem Hammershøi, the Danish artist, who was also influenced by Vermeer, which you might be able to see through the film. So it wasn't a direct copy of that, but it was heavily influenced.
Hi there. If the movie were to continue, what would happen with that baby?
Do you want to say something?
Off you go.
I don't think he's going to have a very happy life. I mean, to be honest. Well, maybe it would become best friends with the cat. I think the cat and the baby would become very good friends. But yeah, I mean, I think the pregnancy is a burden at the end. I don't think it is a positive note. That's what I have to say. Would you say? Do you want to add anything?
I definitely think her pregnancy is something that keeps her fighting until the very end. So, from Catherine's point of view, I wouldn't say it's not her burden because that's the thing that keeps her going. But as a story, yeah, it's the thing that drives it all apart. And then she's left in this house, and she has to look after it. So, I think that would probably go downhill from there.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree. Thank you.
Siguiente pregunta, por favor.
Next question, please.
As I understand, well, you come from the theatre background. In fact, this is your first film after theatre. So could you talk to us a bit about adaptation or working with film different to working with theatre and how you saw it and what your experience is like?
Yes, sure. I mean, the adaptation was written by Alice Birch, she was the screenwriter, and we both come from theatre. It's her first screenplay and my first film. So we were very keen to learn the difference between a stage adaptation, where I think the engine is really language or text, and cinema, where it really is pictures or the visuals. So we wrote a lot of that into the script in the first stage. In terms of the sort of physical production of the film, the biggest difference for me was time, because really a play is made in the sort of 5 or 6 weeks of rehearsal that you have. So we have the script, we have the actors in the room, and together in collaboration, we spend that time working out how to realize what the writer intends. That's our job. We didn't have so much time. We did actually have 10 days of rehearsal before we started shooting this film, which was very useful time. I'm sure the actors will agree.
Yes.
Yeah. Because it's not common in film. It's not common to have that rehearsal time. But it meant that we were able to read the script together, talk about the ideas, identify what the objectives are for each character, and then actually to build the inner life of the characters together before going onto the set and starting to shoot the film.
Hola, quería
Hi, I'd like to ask you about Catherine's character that's portrayed by Florence. I'd like to know, how did you prepare and construct your character, whether you consider that as such a cold and unforgiving person, which is her character is something that is a person born like that, or does it need time, or did you talk about all of that, about the past of her character before you see her on screen, if you catch what I'm saying? How did her character develop before then, and do you think a person can be born just the way, as cold as she is in and what she does in the film? You catch what I'm saying?
I have some things to add, but you can go first.
Well, I mean, to answer the question, how did we develop the character? I mean, she's in the book, the novella. I think what Alice did to create her was fantastic, because if you read the book, the characters are very thinly drawn. And what Alice did was to, really realize, in the first part, to really realize Catherine, and then when we worked with Florence, obviously, this was the completion, because you take this character on the page and then you have to make her live and breathe. I think it's also important to say that the character doesn't start where she ends up. I mean, she starts, I think, at least hopeful that there might be a good marriage there. I mean, okay, he's older, but going into that marriage, she is open to the idea of being a mother, being a wife, until the wedding night. I mean, the first day, really, it's sort of downhill from there for her. Do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think Catherine was born a killer. I don't think she's born cold-hearted. I think things happened which made her turn. And she starts the film as a young, naive, enthusiastic young girl who's really excited, I think, to get married. I think she's excited by the whole prospect of becoming a woman, of losing her virginity, of doing all of those acts that make her become a woman. And it just so happens that in the first 12 hours of her marriage, she's denied all of that. And for a woman to be denied all of that, I presume that would make you act out. And she's given an opportunity, which is to start this relationship. And at the end of the day, she just wants love, and she wants to be touched, and she wants to be appreciated, and she wants to be needed. And there is someone who also wants to give that to her. It goes too far. And she does a lot to try and save it. And as I said, she goes beyond. But yeah, I don't think she was a cold person from the beginning. I think it grew on her.
My name is Kotsenburg from Germany, and I just wanted to ask, with respect to what you just said, because my feeling also was that she was not a cold-blooded person in the beginning, but I was asking myself in the end whether she can live to the end of her days with a bad conscience, or does she even have a bad conscience? And how much of the whole story is the social liabilities she's put into, and how much of it is her own personality or her personal structure?
I think the idea of conscience is, very, very clearly expressed through the character of Sebastian, because he is the person who can't handle the consequences of their actions. And you see that very, very clearly, and it's there in the book. it's more explicit in the book because it is connected to Christianity. It's about the afterlife and whether he's going to be damned. That's the thing that sort of compels him. I mean, in our film, it's more about humanity. I mean, for us, it's about, you cannot kill a child and let it pass, really. That's the thing. I mean, for Catherine, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know whether it's ever answered in the film, and I don't know whether it's whether she will ever sort of repent or find any sort of atonement in any sense. I mean, I really don't know.
And actually, if anything, the only moment where you see her truly shocked by the whole thing is at the end when everyone's left. I don't think she suffers as much as Sebastian does through the killings, which was something that we discussed at the beginning, how she was going to take killing an animal over a human, and she actually reacts to that far worse than killing a person. But it's only at the end, when everything's gone, does she realize it's too far. And I think there is a nice difference with how they react.
Hola, buenos días.
Hi, good morning. I like the film very much, and I would like to ask you whether you've chosen have you chosen the Macbeth and Shakespeare and everything because it's a subject which is well known in the UK, or have you chosen it because it's an important issue of the changes that are taking place between relations between men and women at the present moment? That is to say, did you choose it because of the character of Macbeth, Shakespeare and so on, and it's really beloved in the UK, or is it as he says at the end, whether it's an issue of a reflection of what's happening with men and women in society nowadays? I hope you got all that.
I got the question, thank you very much. Yeah, very well explained. I don't know where you are, but thank you very much. It's great. I think it's very important to say that this is not Lady Macbeth of the Shakespeare play, Macbeth, but it is obviously from the Nikolai Leskov novella, and the reason that he calls this character Katerina in the book Lady Macbeth is because he can't conceive of a woman doing such terrible things without being either unsexed or full of direst cruelty, basically. These are the... I mean, I don't think that we as a group necessarily agree with that, but it certainly wasn't in order to sort of get a Shakespearean audience to come and see the film. If anything, people in England are force-fed Shakespeare as children, and very often can put them off Shakespeare because they have to study it. It's compulsory in schools, But it is also a shorthand for the sort of character that Catherine has. Lady Macbeth, when you see those two words or you hear that name, it summons up very powerful images. And I think just in terms of the relationship between men and women, I would say that actually someone described it very well the other day when they said that this is a radical drama which happens to be set in the past. I feel that there are sort of contemporary parallels to draw from it, and I hope that we've been able to realize that in the film.
Siguiente pregunta, por favor.
Yes, next question, please.
I'd like to know more about Sebastian's character, because I was surprised that the guy who started being a jerk because he enjoyed with humiliation, stuff like that, he ends up being like the one with morals. So what's your view on that? And for the actor as well.
Do you want to say something? Get the microphone up.
Hello. Probably because the scale of the negative things that he's doing changes to be more severe. And that's probably why I'd say that's it.
I mean, I think what we've discussed when we were making the film is the sense that Sebastian is an opportunist. This is not the first time he's done this, probably. He probably has seduced many young women who are ladies of houses, and then when he gets found out, he moves on. Yeah. He feels like a character that's constantly moving. So, he wants to be the master of the house, and in the end he achieves that, really. I mean, halfway through the film he gets there, and there is another way this story can end, which is that they could be reasonably content. Yeah, exactly, reasonably content in this relationship until they're challenged in that way. And I think that it's just interesting to see whether, at what point it's too much for him. It is. He's obviously upset by the murder of Alexander, but it was almost accidental. You could say it's sort of self-defense. So in a way he can justify those things, and Catherine helps him to do that. She's the one who leads him. But when you kill a child, I think it's a very different story. And that's reflected in what Cosmo does in the character of Sebastian and the character itself.
And also like the injustices that what's that word? The injustices that you impose on people when you're trying to get what you want seems like they don't seem like injustices when you're doing them, but then I guess like what we'll say, and some of them universally do eventually, like the more obviously, but it might take a while for the gravity of those actions to set in, and you get lost in the game of trying to get what you want, sort of thing. Yeah.
Siguiente pregunta.
Next question, please. No further questions. Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.